How's it going, everybody? My name is Ben Mott, and I help people remember their spiritual connection. And in today's video, we're going to talk about a few things that I think all light workers and starseeds need to know about 2022. And what we need to get ready for, what we need to be aware of. And I want to simplify it into 3 basic concepts. The first one is to learn to let go. On this path that we're all on by being human here, letting go, I think, is what it really all comes down to. The yogis and the shamans all really agree. If you talk to any of the the most revered teachers out there, they'll tell you it really just comes down to letting go. The reason for this is because there is no past or future, right? So when we're holding on, what is it that we're holding on to? It's always not the appreciation of the present moment. It's always our mind is flying off into the future or the past. Some kind of attachment that is going to give us some kind of benefit if we follow through with the attachment, right? Some kind of dopamine hit. And so on the spiritual awakening path, I think a general point of awakening of what our whole consciousness is going through is we're all trying to pull our head out of the sand. We're all trying to realize the way things work so that we can stop hurting ourselves and our planet. And in order to do that, we have to be integrated with our true self. We have to be living out the expression of who we really are. And if we're holding on to attachments and identifications, trauma, patterns, like things that happened to us when we were a kid, so now we're compensating by holding a certain kind of energy in our field, or we feel like we need to be nice to people. There's infinite examples of this, right? But what we got to do is we got to realize what's us and what's not us, and learn to discern and be able to tell the difference. In order to be able to discern and tell the difference between what we are, what we truly are, the big I, the real version of us, the cosmic, infinite version that we are, that we've forgotten, that holds the power, that holds the keys to everything we want. In order to remember that, what we have to do is we have to let go of everything that's not that. And this may sound really hippie. Sorry about that. I had to delete some videos. But what I was saying is basically that in order to know the true self, to remember the true self, to experience the true self, we have to stop being all the things that are not the true self. And while this sounds kind of paradoxical, you would think, the brain wants to think that we need to figure out how to be the true self before we can let go of these things. Because how do we let go of these things if we don't know who the true self is, right? But the trick is letting go of all of that, all that intellectual thought process, and just letting go, just dropping in, trusting. And that for us, when we're starting and we haven't really had a whole lot of success with this yet, and we want to explore it more, it comes down to patience. You get to a point in your spiritual awakening where you're ready for the lesson that you need to sit and wait for God. And that's it. You keep doing your life. You keep taking care of things. You keep providing food for yourself and a place to live. And you do what you got to do. Maybe you downgrade, if you want to call it a downgrade, or you could just call it minimalizing, right? That's what we've done. We live in an RV full time, and we get to come out to live in beautiful places just like this all the time. Got my bike over there. Can't see it though. But yeah, check it out, guys. Like we let go of what we thought we wanted in a house, and like grinding for the money and being able to have success before we focused on these things like the moment. But it got old, and we decided that this was better for us, to learn to let go and be able to find peace and explore nature and our own consciousness. And eventually by letting go and by finding our passion and healing to a new degree, we're able to do what I'm doing now and help others, and do a job that's actually passionate. And a lot of times we'll pay a lot better and take a lot less of your time than, the typical money matrix type deal, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a big believer in non-duality, and I think that we're in a world that has a lot of different, I don't want to call it levels, because that has a positive negative viewpoint, but there is different experiences in this reality, and there's nothing wrong with any of the different levels or dimensions, whatever you want to call it, right? There's nothing wrong with any of them. They're all just different kinds of experience. Some are more dense and some are more light. And this one happened to be more light for us. Letting go is what led us here. Letting go is what led us to be able to know ourselves better and find alignment, and eventually integrate our passion for life. And that's number 2, is integration. This is something that goes very, very missed by in the spiritual community, I think, and the psychedelic community, and all the communities, and just the normal being a human community. Like listening to music. Like, we all walk through our life, we listen to music, we get experiences constantly, and we just let these experiences run and run and run and run, and that's okay. It's what we're taught. But at some point, in order to really access and ground into a higher vibration, we have to start to play detective with our entire reality, and we have to start to try to become aware of these energies and what's like the fact that we create our whole reality. And so if we don't look at the fact that we're creating our whole reality, then we can't deal with it, and we never become aware of the blockages and the darkness that we're holding on to, that we're addicted to. That if we became aware of and did the hard inner work, the shadow work, the release, this is something that's mystical, that you don't go do. It's something you intend for and you bring in. And I think that's another major misconception in the community, is that we all want to just get there. And I don't think there really is. There is no getting there. There's no destination. We're all just on this process. At some point we're going to die, and we're going to start over. And we're going to start over, and we're going to start over. And so we might as well learn to love the process. And learn to do the process. If we want to. If being awake and being in control and having the freedom to decide what you want for yourself, and being able to have more love and light in your life, then, letting go and really letting go is the first part, but integrating and playing detective with your life. It's like when I don't know if some of you might be familiar with plant medicine. I'm sure if you watch me, you like plant medicine, probably, maybe not, and that's okay too. I think there's a lot of different ways to get there. Plant medicine is just a really accelerated one that our consciousness is really doing a lot of right now and seeing a lot of benefits from. But with plant medicine ceremony, you'll know, once you do a couple plant medicine ceremonies, that you have to integrate your trip or your experience or whatever you want to call it. If you don't integrate it, it's just a movie. Then you go back to life and nothing changes. All right, and then number three, this is the last one, guys. So number 3 is going to be expand your comfort zone. And this is something that's spoken about not just in the spiritual community. I don't think it's actually really spoken about much in the spiritual community. It's spoken about a lot in the personal development community. But it kind of goes along with the other 2 things that I've talked about. When we are boxed in with the way we see the world, and we all have these boundaries for our own consciousness, right? And with what we're willing to perceive, with what we're willing to think about. This could be anything from angelic, high-level, hippy-dippy, super ungrounded spiritual information, to conspiracy theories, to money, if we have issues with our money, or if we are, if we're in a relationship where we're not being served, and relationships might be a tough topic. But really having a look at that for each of us, and looking at where our comfort zone is, and whether or not we are really pushing that regularly and expanding it. Because if we're not... Hey, sorry about that, guys. My battery cut out again, but I got it fixed for next time. So, I wanted to finish up that point I was making while I was up there on the mountain. Pretty much what I was getting at was that if we're not really willing to confront our ego and all of its mess that it's made in our life, our egos, a lot of times when we start waking up, our ego's been going rampant for many years. And so there's messes kind of all over the place, sometimes for us. Maybe more so for some of us more than others. But you have to be willing to not be afraid of the messes, not get lost in the cataclysmic mess that some of our lives can feel like sometimes. And we really have to remember to just take one step at a time and stay in the current moment. And as long as we do that, and we trust in our spirit, and we put our faith, if we have a hard time trusting ourselves and finding strength within ourselves, we can give that doubt and that fear to the angels, to the guides, to God, to the plant spirits, to your ancestors, whoever it is that holds the space for you in the quantum realm. And if we can really bring it together and focus and really address pretty much everything in every part of our experience of reality, watch every aspect of it and let it all be lessons. Reality is a trip, and I don't know if you're familiar with mushrooms, but when you take mushrooms or any other psychedelic or cannabis or even meditation is like this as well. The experience itself teaches you how to do life by giving you these experiences of synchronistic, coincidental lessons all throughout your experience, kind of dribbled out throughout the trip or through the meditation. And sometimes it'll be tied to physical reality in the trip, or if you're meditating, it'll be your stuff coming up that's bringing you through it. But we have to be willing to open that door to be able to have that experience of process in the shadow. And if we don't process the shadow, then we're not ever really able to move forward. And a lot of times when we awaken, we can get stuck in a rut of falling back into the matrix almost, even though we know everything and we know how to be and we know what to do. It can almost not even matter because if we're not doing the practices and we're not holding ourselves accountable for what we already are when we start waking up, and you don't just get cleaned when you wake up. You wake up and then you have to start processing all the things that aren't you, that aren't God. And it can sound kind of daunting, but that's what I'm saying about just one step at a time, just staying in the moment, not getting lost in the process. But it's important to be aware of what the process is. And so I think 2022 is going to be a really exciting year. I think there's a lot of really positive potential for especially those of us who have been doing the work to some degree that are resonating with this kind of content. But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be lessons and, like potholes that we stub our toe in and lose the tire off the wheel on the car or what, there's all kinds of different levels to the way the stresses of life can create lessons in our life and bring up some reflection. It's all the whole point of this detective looking at yourself, reading the situations is to let the situations that come up that you get triggered by be the universe speaking to you through the experience, trying to show you some reflection of your own energy field that you don't want to look at. And you've pushed it down, this feeling, this energy, this reflection, this belief system. And so now the only way it can come out to get healed is through you acting it out, or the physical, or other people acting it out, or your finances acting it out, or physical reality throwing a temper tantrum essentially. And so it's really hard when the temper tantrum is going on and it's directly related to our weak points for us to stay calm and read it and see the signs and the signals that are sometimes even ancestral and beyond this lifetime. It can be pretty difficult because we're so triggered in that moment. But that's the only real moment or it's not the only moment, but I think it's the moment where the most potential for growth and efficiency of energy, like the amount of energy you put in to the amount of output you get and how much return you get on your investment with your energy is much greater when you do it in the moment, when the trigger's coming up, when you can look at it and you can process it and not push it back down and repressurize it. Maybe you let off a little bit of pressure, but you push it back down. Just let it all the way out every time, which feels kind of crazy at first. But eventually, after you do that for a while, you start to access a state of consciousness and a way of being daily where things where you don't feel as heavy because you're over, if you do that a little bit every day, release the hole pressure instead of crack the bottle and close it, you got a lot of buildup. So over time, you can't really notice over 1 day or 2 days maybe, but over a week or 2 weeks, it's a massive difference in your consciousness. And you become very quickly a different human that can think differently and see differently and more expansively, more of yourself. And so in 2022, I think that we're in for some exciting developments. But I do think that it's going to be up to us to be able to handle those developments and even perceive them. I think another part of this energy is that if we're in the middle of purging, we won't even perceive the potential upgrades and the magic that's happening on this world stage, and our own world stage, just the movie, the ultimate action movie that is our reality right now for the past few hundred years, and specifically right now. I think we're really threading the needle right now for the human race. So anyways, you guys hang in there. Comment, like, subscribe. Let me know how you like this video. Let me know if there's anything that you feel like I would be good at explaining that you guys would be interested in. I really want to get this YouTube channel going, and I really feel like this energy is really putting me in the place where I'm gonna do it. And so I'm really grateful for that, and I'm grateful for anybody who views this channel. So you guys hang in there, and I will see you next time. Peace.